film Caffeine, where the weather outside is frightful, and this song is for Christmas. But it isn't for Halloween, but I don't care because it snowed outside. How's it going?
Well, pretty sure just got cancer, but whatever.
Okay, see you guys next time. No. Yeah. Happy Halloween, everyone. This will be uploading on either before Halloween or Halloween because I get lazy. Um,
So, the wonderful thing about Halloween,
Spooky Day.
the wonderful thing about Halloween is like any sort of industry that deals in makeup just gets so much more money because people for some reason decide to put makeup and stuff before actual Halloween, and then like they just take it
Yeah, I
off.
know. Speaking of makeup, the Shane Dawson series, like
Oh
a
God.
very important I know this is like very like random, but next episode is coming out today, and today is the no, I'm not going to dox ourselves date wise. Today a very important episode is coming out. And
I feel like
it's
you
gonna
already
be
did by saying today the episode's coming out.
yeah, okay, it's the 29th. Okay, sue me, bitch. Please. Okay, yes, I'm late by like 2 days. Okay, fine. Okay, fuck you. But no, the next Shane Dawson episode is going to be revealing his palette. Oh, I mean, I don't really care, but like
What's a
the
palette?
series
Like color
like a makeup
palette?
palette. Yeah, like a color palette for like a makeup thing.
What
And he's
makeup?
going to like
Why are we talking about makeup? I brought up the
cuz that's
makeup.
the Shane Dawson series. The Shane Dawson series
Oh,
is about
it's about
him making
makeup?
like his own makeup palette.
Wait, he's like making his own little like business on makeup?
And he's doing a palette for Jeffree Star. Like and he's gonna like
Okay,
if everything goes well,
does
he's
that
gonna
mean
like
he's like starting his own little business, or I'm so confused.
not a
What do you
business. It's not a business. It's like so like makeup industries, for example, like Jeffree Star, they release like a palette like every
Who's
year.
Jeffree
Or
Star?
he's a guy who releases makeup. He's like a big celebrity online who like releases makeup. To
Okay.
store to like different stores, right? Like Maybelline and shit like that. They have the makeup palettes. He gives like a special edition palette, right? And he comes out with like usually like 2 or 3 of them every single year, right?
Wait, when you said color palette, right? Like what new colors are they making?
Like not like a makeup kit.
I I don't know, Mithy. I've never really bought a
I
makeup
mean,
kit
I don't.
before,
I mean,
so
me neither. Me neither. I only know about this for just watching the show. But
oh,
like,
okay. I probably have no context. No,
yeah,
okay,
no. But
okay.
like,
I
he
guess
only
if I
released.
watched it, then I
Yeah,
maybe would
but
know. I have
basically, like he was like, "Hey Shane, you could also like the last series was also about Jeffree Star, one of the last series, and he was like, "Hey Shane, if you want, we could work together and come up with a palette and release it and make a lot of money, and it could be really famous." And he's like,
so it is
"Oh,
a
maybe we should."
business.
I mean, yeah, it is, but it's not a singular entity business. He's just
The
popping
freaking
in for a
lies.
couple months. Yeah,
Okay.
but
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
I mean, I
he
guess,
could.
I mean, good
It's a
for
big
him.
fucking deal for people
So
who
wait,
like watch that shit, but.
okay. Well, I happen to not be one of them.
Yes, and I happen to watch it only because the filmography is sort of cool.
Yes.
But yeah,
Okay.
how did we get on the make? Oh yeah, Halloween! Happy Halloween, everyone! It's the spooky season, which means today we get to talk about controversies. Ooh.
The scariest part about controversy is that it's such a big deal.
That is very true. Controversies blow up.
It's so petty. I'm sorry. See, I don't know. Okay, so
And you know this, I'm a strong believer in the idea that any press, bad press or good press, is still always good press
yeah,
because press is
okay.
press.
So I'm
So
gonna I'm gonna explain my opinion on news outlets. So
basically, today this episode is going to be sort of weird because we're going to talk about a couple things that have happened recently,
yeah,
but we're also going to talk about like just some random shit.
yeah. I
It's
really only
basically
have. So I think what I want to say is that
before we
so
get into like the topics, like setting this up though, like
okay.
recently the big thing that's happened is like there's been some the feuds thing going on. There's been some Game of Thrones things, some Scorsese things, and they all have to deal with like criticizing things, right? It's all about criticizing criticizing different forms of media, and that stirs up a lot of controversies these days, especially on Twitter, which I am a very big part of. I am like basically I hold 50% of the stock in Twitter. Um, so basically, we want to take this opportunity to tackle all these weird sort of controversies and talk about how people criticize things and sort of the problem with a lot of this press. So just to set
Yeah.
it up for people who want to click away because this shit is stupid.
Yeah. Now, my only opinion about the thing about when people make an opinion and make a article about it, a video about it, any content about it, criticizing something, because usually when you notice criticizing something obviously yields more controversy, right? So my only thing is you can say anything you want, but your job as a I guess content creator is to make your opinions accurate. When I say accurate, I don't mean like right or wrong. I mean like you can't go on and say things like I don't know. Uh, I guess you can't say that author A did XYZ and XYZ was horrible, so author A is horrible when in reality author A did not do XYZ. So like just straight up lying and having inaccurate um you know data, I guess, is the only bad thing that could come from a critique, in my opinion, because I think critiques in of itself are subjective enough to where at least one person will critique your critique for being wrong. But I think if it's objectively wrong, as in just inaccurate as can be, then your critique is a bad critique. And the example I'm going to give is by so I watch a YouTuber.
Before you wait, before you talk about that specific example, I want to give my thoughts sort of on it too, because
Yeah,
you brought
sure.
up a good point about like addressing something and then finding out it's false. I think I know we don't talk about this too much, but I think Scribe, you're very left brain oriented. I think, if I'm not wrong, like you think very methodically, you think very analytically, um, and I do have elements of that. Sometimes those aren't my strongest elements, and I
X
go
to
into
doubt.
more of
No, I'm joking.
nope.
I'm joking.
I fucking rage quit on everything because I'm a piece of shit. No, I don't. I think I think I we defer on like a lot of things, especially recently. There's so many like different fucking controversies going on there that are crazy, and by crazy I mean they just get way too much press. Um, I think the one thing I want to touch too is the discussion, regardless of whatever the fuck people think and like this is wrong and this is right. The discussion of it is important. Certain people coming out saying, "Hey, this doesn't seem right to me. This doesn't seem right to me," or something like that. Regardless of however bullshitty it sort of seems, I always think the discussion of it is extremely important. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people, like this is a somewhat political example, but it was a big thing a couple years ago. Trevor Noah, the host of the Daily Show, had Tommy Lahren, who was like a very conservative woman on like Facebook who always ranted about how like Black Lives Matter sucked and stuff like
Wow.
that. Yeah,
Bladder.
I know.
Is that what?
Ladder.
Go on.
I'm sorry, I offended someone somewhere. No, but like how those movements and stuff sucked, and she came on the show, and they had a meaningful discussion, and then after that, they like they're both of their teams, Tommy Lahren and her production team, and Trevor Noah and his production team. They all like hanged out and talked about stuff together after the
Yeah.
show, and a lot of people were like online were like, "How dare you, Trevor Noah, give this person a platform to exercise these thoughts?" Right? And that's the same critique for even like Shane Dawson saying like, "Oh, how dare you give Jake Paul like a platform to like defend himself about all this shit because it's stupid. Like he's a stupid person and like you shouldn't be doing this." And I don't see it like as that. Like I understand that statement, but like in the modern day, in the modern 21st century, everyone is going to get it. Anyone who does something drastic like that will
Yeah.
automatically get a platform at some point, right? So why not that platform be a meaningful discussion with someone on the other side, right? So I think
Hmm.
regardless of whatever the fuck we believe about, oh, this person said something really shitty or something like that, I think the discussion of it is important. And overall, in the long run, I think a lot of these things are good things, at least as far as talking about these things and talking about controversy and talking about what's quality and what's not quality. So that's just
Yeah,
my 2 cents on the ethics of the discussion of this stuff, the why
yeah,
to the why of the why, I guess. So,
hmm
but yeah,
yeah,
keep going.
yeah. So, I mean, you make a good point there. I think discussion is more meaningful than a debate, basically, because I think it's pretty. I think everyone kind of knows that they're not going to be convincing the other person anytime soon
That's
using.
impossible. Yeah, no,
Yeah, like I think the point of a discussion, or, okay, so a debate nowadays ends up becoming a who like a you suck, I'm better than you kind of thing, right? Uh, it
or
turns in it
or
turns into an
or
insult fest sometimes, like a very
it's a
professional.
or it's a political campaign where the people paid off the anchors of the entire debate. I'm just throwing a lot of shade at the DNC right now. Please don't come and attack me. I just read something online. Um,
Oh, I don't know much about that, but the point is that I think a discussion is more healthy for for both parties. Um, I guess point of view, and the reason is because a discussion, first of all, if it's a actual discussion, it ends up being less of a insulting and or offensive thing, but more of a study on both of the people's point of view. So instead of bringing the other person's point of view down, you're bringing your point of view up. And I guess it turns into a debate if you're doing a counterpoint versus to the other person. But I mean, let's be honest here. I don't think anyone's really mature enough to do that, especially on the internet. But the point is, a discussion is just you explaining what you're trying to do, them explaining what they're trying to do, and then both of the parties need to work together to find out what the pros and cons are together. Like we do that all the time, Mithi, when we talk about, when we talk about, okay, what's the good thing about this, what's the bad thing about this, like when we talked about Kevin Feige getting the um ownership.
Brainers.
Yeah, basically, like, there are good and bad things for everything. If Right, like you can do something that might be really good, like in this case I could think that Kevin Feige getting the ownership of that is really good, and I obviously it's biased because I wanted it to happen because
Love
I
Kevin
called it.
Feige.
Well, I do that also because I called it last year and you guys called me a madman, but that's
You
besides the point.
still are. I mean, that doesn't change the fact that you're a madman. It's just
They called
that
me a
you're
madman.
right. That's different.
Yeah,
That's
but the point is that that happening could have negative consequences that people need to be willing to acknowledge. And I mean, I can acknowledge some of them, such as, I if he changes something, there's always a chance that there's a populace that won't like it, and that might even actually make the industry suffer in terms of what they're doing. And I'm being very general here because I don't know much about that market to really give specific examples. But say they just shut off all the comic book stories, like I said, like I the controversial thing that I said last year about the to you and
the
Mitchell, where I was
fucking
like, yeah, they
the
should shut
end of
off all
all
the
comics.
yeah. So, needless to say, that would make a lot of comic book fans very furious because, most likely they've invested
Me
time into
very
this.
furious.
I mean, yeah, but what I'm saying is that could yield negative results. And I'm willing to acknowledge that, of course. But as Thanos would say, the hardest choices require the strongest of wills.
Wow, he really is like your role model.
No, I think he's actually stupid. I think Thanos is a dumb person. I'm sorry. A lot of what he says is actually really smart, but then the premise of what he's saying it under is freaking stupid. That's not how economy works. That's not how
Fucking
economics works.
you fucking
Okay,
nutsack chin piece of
I'm sorry.
shit.
I'm sorry. Wiping half the universe is the dumbest thing someone could say. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. I like it only because it's Marvel and it's a dumb action movie with really good characters, but it's the dumbest plot I've ever heard, and I'm willing to say that being a very big Marvel fanboy. Okay,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. I'm sorry. Thanos is a great villain, but he's also a stupid person. Anyways,
We just got, I'm gonna go on all my other accounts and dislike this podcast because of what you said.
yes. Anyways, what I was actually going to go on
Yeah,
before
so
Wait,
one of the things what's a good example that you actually brought to me about
yeah,
people criticizing things and that going very poorly.
right.
This Wheel of Time controversy thing. Now I haven't
Yes.
read Wheel of Time, but you have, and you
Well,
told me
I,
some
I
shit.
I wouldn't say I have. I'm in the process of reading book one, so I have
So
actually
you've
only.
read everything. You basically you wrote the series, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I actually wrote. Oh man, I wish. Anyways, there's a article called "The Wheel of Time Sucks," and honestly, consider this was made a while back, so like it actually isn't even that relevant. It's
Not
just
like
only
zeitgeist,
relevant.
but it's a good example.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
good example.
relevant because one of the YouTubers that I watch, named Daniel Green, he's sort of a booktuber. He makes a lot of book content, and a lot of his channel is based off of Wheel of Time, since that's his favorite series and it's his childhood read, right? So uh, I watched this video where he responds to this article. Now, remember, this article was made on April 1st, 2018. It's very old considering compared to the other topics we're going to talk about, but I feel like it's become relevant because of this response video, but also because it's relevant to the topic. So basically, I'm not going to go too deep into the article because one, I've watched the first 6 to 8 minutes of Daniel Green's response video because he gets into spoiler territory, and I just kind of stopped watching after that. But the general criticisms he makes are basically just lies, right? Like, and Daniel Green talks about that as well. You should go watch that video if you have read the series. The entire video is, you can watch it. I assume he goes into spoilers everywhere. But the point is, he's also a terrible, terrible, like, his points are awful. Okay, so he says something about, I've never heard a woman say about the female characters are good in Wheel of Time, blah blah blah, and then he says, I do not mean that no women Wheel of Time. I'm sure many do. But then he says the only thing is I have never personally been told. So what here you see is an anecdotal evidence that he himself denies the fact that it's a good evidence, but then he continues to go upon that anecdotal evidence, which is just terrible argument. It's a terrible argument, right? So he basically says, I usually hear the exact opposite, that women tell me that they don't like the female characters in Wheel of Time. So basically, that whole first factor paragraph is just really, really bad, really, really poorly written. Now, that's
That's
fine.
not even the worst of it, which is
That's
so
Yeah, that's
funny.
fine. Yeah. So in general, he has this very condescending sort of. See, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with you having a certain tone because that might be his writing style. I'm sure he has a following based on his personality. That's not really the problem. The problem is he later goes on and has that condescending attitude towards a man that he straight up lies about, such as explaining that he was opening storyline after storyline with no closing loops, and he basically says definitively that he plans to write the series until he dies. But the point is that, as Daniel Green pointed out, Robert Jordan did not die at like 80 or 90. In fact, I'll Google it. Robert Jordan died in 2007, and he was, one sec, at age, he was 58 years old. So that's 2007. That he died of a medical condition. So yeah, and this, by the way, was made in 2018, so he knew this was made well after this man had died. So yeah, he just lies about this, some of the stuff, and it's very poor article. See, if this guy made a lengthy discussion on why Wheel of Time sucks in a more non-inaccurate way, and I read the general consensus of, let's just say, the first book, which is I'm like 80% done with. Let's say I finished the first book and I read this, I wouldn't really care because that's just his opinion. But this opinion is flawed, not because the opinion is that Wheel of Time sucks, but rather because his opinions are based off of inaccurate data and complete and utter disregard for a man's legacy, and warping it to be what he wants to show. And as again,
So,
Daniel,
and
yeah,
also, like, going from the left brain, right brain thing, that was a very left brain argument to use scientific terms. But like, even like from a artistic creative point of view, just a book series is not the MCU. The MCU ended Infinity War. yes, it's a cliffhanger, but imagine if just the MCU ended there. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool. It's not like they have uncompleted arcs, right? They still have some form of a completed arc in a sense, right? They lost, right? That's a thing. That's not how books work, as to my knowledge. It's like it's a flowing narrative all the time. The MCU is a flowing narrative.
It's. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I get where you're coming from. But not all books. It really depends on again.
If you're telling
Most
me
like.
this is a series that's going book by book by book, it is
Mhm.
truly a flowing narrative. The MCU doesn't really go movie to movie to movie.
See,
It goes
can't
just like
speak for Wheel of Time past the first book. Remember, so
yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
really
but just
answer
even
that.
just thinking of it like in a broader sense too. A book series is like a flowing narrative. So if you're gonna
Yeah.
complain about arcs not ending because he
Well,
died,
okay,
I
but
mean it's sort of
actually
bad
no.
complaint.
Technically, no. What do you mean by flowing narrative? Actually, I don't really know what that term means.
As far as like okay, like Harry Potter is a flowing narrative. It goes book by book by book, right? Percy Jackson is a flowing narrative. It goes book by book by book. But the MCU or like the even the DCEU or something, that's not really a flowing narrative. And even like the Arrowverse, like the individual shows are
Yeah.
flowing narratives, but as a whole, it's not a flowing narrative, right?
Oh, so you're basically saying multiple point of views scattered across with different
Yeah, yeah,
stories
yeah.
occasionally interweaving. Well,
Yeah.
I would argue that in that sense, A Song of Ice and Fire is not a flowing narrative because most of the characters don't even meet until like actually they don't even meet at all. Like some of
Sure,
them don't
even
even.
because it's always about character arcs, right? Because
Yeah.
yes, Tyrion can like end his fucking arc like at the fourth book or some shit, right? But like it's still sort of like I mean, yes, the Game of Thrones, yeah, that's sort of confusing. I don't know what to depict that as because it's like
Well, remember the books are called The Song of Ice and Fire. The
I
Game of
don't I
Thrones.
don't I'm calling them the Game of Thrones books. Get wrecked.
Okay, I mean, you can, but
Okay,
I'm just saying it'll be
no,
really
people will
confusing
shit
if
on
you
me,
say. No, that's
but
not
like
even what I'm saying. It's more of just
technical
easier
term,
to
yeah,
know
yeah,
if you're talking about Game of
yeah.
Thrones. If
A
you
Song
someone
of
says Game of Thrones, it's a
I mean,
show, and then if
I know
someone says a song,
I haven't watched the show fully. I've watched good amounts of important things
yeah,
that happen. And as far as from what I've seen, I don't know if I can definitively say it's a flowing narrative, but I cannot say it's something like the MCU
it's.
because
I mean, technically, okay, so that's an
the thing
interesting
still follows
topic.
a lineage. That's a very different topic, right? But basically, back to my point, just saying that like the book series, I think is meant to be a flowing narrative, and so
No, no, not that's a false statement.
I
I
think it's
disagree.
supposed.
I don't think a book is meant to be like saying a book is meant to be a flowing narrative is like saying video games are RPGs. Like that, they're not
Uh,
meant. They're not meant to be anything. New genres and new narratives are
Yeah, but
always
from
formed,
what
just
you've
like
read,
in
though,
film.
at least from what you've read and what I've heard
No,
this
no,
guy
but
talk about,
I haven't read again anything that I say will be a anecdotal evidence by saying what I've read, but I can also just prove one counterexample by saying this is not like that. Thus, books are not meant to be like that. Like saying books are meant to be like a flowing narrative or whatever is like saying films are meant to be told linearly, which is not true at all because in medias res exists the sort of modernistic storytelling where it's like sometimes you have like flashbacks, sometimes you have nonlinear storytelling. Well, are films meant to be like that? Or you can't say that. Films are meant to tell a story, and that's in a visual medium. That's it. And
okay,
likewise, books are
yeah,
meant to tell a story like that. How you tell it is up to the creator. So in this case,
but yeah, that's not my point. My point is that I don't think it's is as hefty as a complaint as it should be. He's taking that as like a big complaint, and I don't think that's really a big complaint.
who? Oh,
The
article
the
guy?
critique, the article guy.
Garrett Robinson. Yeah. So well, okay.
You're
So
doxing him. You're doxing him. You're telling him
what does
his
doxing
name.
mean?
Doxing is like
I don't know what
like
that.
telling what someone's email address is, or like revealing someone who doesn't want their name
Oh,
revealed to reveal
oh.
their name.
I mean, his name's out there because he made a
Yeah, I
he
know,
made an
I know.
article.
So,
So.
yeah.
All right, no, but no. The thing is though that the major thing that he says is incorrect is so he mentions the fact that he's finished only books either up to 5 or 6 somewhere around there he says And so he says it's possible that later books have everything that I say that the other ones don't have, but then he points out in saying that the storylines had no closing loops. And according to Daniel Green again, because I haven't read to book 5 and 6, according to him, he says that a lot of arcs actually do end before then. Because for those of you who don't know what Wheel of Time is, Wheel of Time is I think by word count the largest fantasy series, because it is 14 books long, and 15 if you consider the prequel as part of the thing. But the main series is 14 books long, and these books are big, big books. Like, they're big. So what I'm saying is there's a
Maybe
lot of
here's what
content
we'll
in there.
do. On our 100th podcast, after you finish reading the series,
Yeah,
we'll
seriously.
reflect on this and talk about whether or not that dude was right.
Well, yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing though.
I don't think it's fair for both of us to say he's definitively right or definitively wrong if
Well, see,
neither of
that's
us
the thing.
have read this thing.
I haven't looked at anything past his third factor, and that's because his fourth factor, I guess, or maybe his fifth factor, starts going into the spoiler territory, which is why I'm only critiquing the stuff that is generalized to the series as
But
a
his
whole.
yeah, but his argument is about spoilers, so I don't think it's fair for us to say, "Oh
No, no,
yeah,
no.
no, that's
But
wrong," if we
remember,
don't know
his
spoilers.
5 factors before are still very flawed. It's
Okay.
because he makes it sound like Robert Jordan wanted to pull a like a I'm gonna
Definitively, like, ah, ha, ha, I'm the devil and I'm gonna do all this shit. Yeah, no, that's not true.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, yeah. Point is, he was saying lies and making his opinions based off of those lies, and
Telling
that's why
lies,
his opinion is
telling
yeah,
lies, telling sweet little lies.
yeah.
Are we gonna get
Anyways,
copy striked? I don't give a shit.
I don't know. But anyways, so basically the big topic today is kind of regarding that, which is of course how to controversy in a nutshell in the pop culture, how people view things, how people have opinions towards things. I guess we just stated how to have a bad opinion or a wrong opinion. It's just being inaccurate. Now we're going to talk about opinions that are accurate and yet get a lot of flack, and I guess Martin Scorsese is a
Wait,
good
did you
example
talk
for
about
that.
the final? Wasn't there one last thing with the Wheel of Time thing that he said that was like really fucking shitty?
Oh yeah, something very he kind of gets really um vulgar later on in his third factor. So he just kind of calls Robert Jordan a lot of bad names. He calls their fans. He just kind of
If
ridicules
I
them.
remember, the argument was that he actively was like, I want to be the person to write this series as long as fuck, and then die so it's uncompleted and then no one can finish it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's what I was. Yeah,
offensive, yeah.
it's
So
it's offensive because the guy couldn't finish it because he died really early. Okay, like Brandon Sanderson, who's another very very popular author in the fantasy pop culture fantasy books. He was asked to write the series for him, and like I guess finish the series for him. Now I don't know the specifics of why they chose him. I don't know what the
supposedly he's like
specifications
a good
were.
choice or something, right? What did
Yeah,
he
yeah.
write other than that? He wrote something else, right?
Well, I think a lot of his fame came from after that. I'm not sure though, so I will look that up real quick. But Brandon Sanderson has written
You
a
keep
lot of
talking, I'll look it up. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
yeah. So he's a who is best known for the Cosmere universe, which is basically a his own little. I guess it's sort of the equivalent of a fantasy cinematic universe, but not cinematic. It's in books. I haven't read any of his series in the Cosmere universe, but I plan to after I'm done with the behemoth that is Wheel of Time.
Also a
Um,
teacher at Brigham.
yeah,
He's an
he's a
adjunct,
professor at Brigham. Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
So he's wrote the book called The Way of Kings. It's the Stormlight Archive series. He's wrote Mistborn, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. I don't think you would know it, but
Probably
I
me.
think all of these. I think all of these books are in the same universe, or at least most of these are, because he's known for the Cosmere universe, which is basically in terms
It
of
includes supposedly includes Elantris, Mistborn, Warbreaker,
mhm,
Stormlight Archive, White
yeah,
Sands, and anything under Arachnum Unbounded. That
yeah,
sounds like essentially all of his work from what I'm seeing here, other than
yeah.
The Way of Kings, I think.
No, the Way of Kings is part of the
It's
Stormlight
part
Arc.
of the archive. Yeah, yeah, no, no. So yeah,
Yeah.
basically everything he's done is just under
Yeah,
a,
so
a
it's
branch.
sort of like the MCU, but for his fantasy genre. Basically, it's like that's basically what it is. Because I don't know if when they say Cosmere universe, whether that's an actual universe or is it like one planet, one world, like Middle Earth or something like that.
I know this
Um,
is off topic, but I am interested. It says here he was like a volunteer full time missionary for 2 years, in for the Church of Christ, um, in South Korea. Do you think that
huh.
had any effect on the way he writes? Like, cause you've read a lot of his stuff, right? So, like, do you
Who,
think
wait, who? Robert Jordan?
no, Sanderson?
Well, no, no, I haven't read any of his stuff. Remember,
You haven't. Okay.
I plan to. It's just I
If you
I
do, and if you do read it, could you tell me if like there is some kind of influence there? Because I'm very curious
because
about those type of things too. So I
influence
would love to.
on what again?
Cause
In
it says here he was like a 2 year voluntary missionary on the for the Jesus Christ Church,
huh,
Church of Christ. So
huh.
I don't know if that would have like what type of magic or I don't know magic per se, but what type of like influence that would have on his writing style perhaps
Well,
too.
I've
So
heard from based on again Daniel Green, some other YouTubers like Murphy Napier. I've heard that his writing style is very easy to get into. Like his writing style is very uh, accessible, but it's not like accessible. Accessible doesn't mean it's like just very simplistic, like for children, like maybe something that Rick Riordan would write. But it's accessible in the sense that um, it's just it's very captivating. I guess that's what I've heard. It's a everyman's writing style. I've heard some people say, as in it's descriptive enough to where you know what you're reading, but it's not as descriptive as say Tolkien's work or Robert Jordan's work, to where it's like overly descriptive, because that's what the Wheel of Time and Tolkien's work is kind of known for. And a lot of people DNF those books because they're very, very hardcore in terms of descripting. Uh, uh, but that also is sort of the appeal of those books, because you get exactly what you're reading. You get the exact, I guess you get a sense of the world. And Tolkien, I mean, if you want to know about real life things that affect writing styles and writing themes, Tolkien, obviously served in World War I, and he nearly died, I think. And he was clearly shell shocked.
that definitely affected his writing. It's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
See, he has come out and said, I believe he has said before that he doesn't believe his work was meant to be an allegory for war, but some people can argue that
When you're
based on
yeah in subconscious, it's something definitely
yeah, I
would
mean, it's very anti-industrial revolution. It's very anti-progress for the sake of progress. It's very sort of like even his quotes in the books, a lot of it is about just enjoying the concept of good food, good family, a home, just a very simplistic lifestyle. And the race of hobbits kind of basically idealize that lifestyle as sort of, in his eyes, I would say, he would probably say that's one of the most beneficial lifestyles, right? Because the race of man in
that's
Lord of the Rings
probably what
goes
a
to
lot of
war.
people probably thought back then too.
Yeah, I
So
mean, also like the orcs are clearly like representing the some enemy that you can just kind of hate without any second thought. It's because they're orcs, and that's literally the only reason you need to give. Of course, they have their own story in the lore. I'm not saying they don't, but they are deeper than just being a unending force of bad guys. But I mean, that's kind of what he wrote this book in a time of like war, and World War II was going on. Hitler was basically our real life version of a Dark Lord, essentially,
what?
which is
Hitler was doing bad things?
what I thought he was a charity worker. No, stop.
Oh God.
Anyway, The point is, obviously, Hitler. I think it's fair to say that in real life, people like Hitler, people like Stalin, people like those people are basically real life Saurons and freaking Voldemorts. It's quite literally that's what it is. Like they're the real life version of those entities, and that's Tolkien's work is very much about having a instilling a sense of hope by making characters that you can root for. Because obviously nowadays grimdark is all the rave because people want more morally gray characters. They don't want goody two shoes like Captain America or something like that. That used to be. Even Captain America now has become more morally gray with Winter Soldier and such. Right? He's
Red
willing
Hood
to kind of
is my favorite superhero.
Red Hood.
Ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da.
Yeah.
Deathstroke is a popular ally.
Yeah, I mean, you get my
Ba-ba-da,
point.
ba-ba-da.
Actually, you see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
in
I know.
superhero mediums as well, because notice how Catwoman used to be just your generic, seductress who seduces Bruce Wayne and then proceeds to
Now
break his
she's
heart.
Bruce Wayne's half-wife because sometimes they get married and sometimes Tom King cops out and they never get married.
Yeah,
Get
but
fucked, Tom
but
King. I
the point
hate you.
is, that these characters we're sort of seeing a trend of people wanting more uh nuanced characters in the sense that they're not all paragons of good. They're all humans, and humans are not all good. They have flaws, and that's what fantasy now has started to gear towards. It always has been gearing towards it, but like Tolkien was not trying to achieve that. Of course, I wouldn't say his work is grimdark at all because he tries to achieve more of a idealized. But I'm not saying the characters are not flawed. By the way, they are flawed in their own way. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying more morally flawed, right? Because like I feel like there's some moral things in there, like Boromir
Especially in
specifically.
the contemporary world of
Yeah,
fucking bad shit and people doing
yeah,
bad shit so regularly, it makes sense for
yeah.
that to be more
Like
relatable
like
today.
a Song of Ice and Fire is very contemporary, very very
Yeah,
contemporary.
yeah,
I mean, like the whole the whole I mean, Hunger Games is another example. Hunger Games is quite literally the definition of contemporary
yeah.
with the whole rebellion and stuff like that. It's all about rebellion. It's all about stuff like that. Whereas Tolkien, I feel like is sort of in that blend where there are some of those elements, but there's also some of the more traditional elements of again good food, good home, just sitting by the bedside, having a good happy family, not worrying about progress, not worrying about war, just living your life as happy as it can and kind of being content with your and then but then the race of men in the Lord of the Rings universe are all about ambition, a lot about industrialism, a lot about all that stuff. And orcs are like uber that, like, right, because orcs are the ones that like blow up Helm's Deep using gunpowder, and like gunpowder didn't exist before then. I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct. So that was like a new invention. They're cutting down trees. It's very industrial. They're sort of supposed to represent mankind gone too far down the brink of um, progress. Essentially, that's it's very symbolic in that sense. A lot of his themes are very poetic, and some of them even I would say a lot of them apply to today. Uh, so yeah. Anyways, kind of went off topic there, but that's fine.
Very off topic, but that's fine. Back to
Yeah,
basically the Wheel of
controversy.
Time thing.
Yeah,
Is sort of a shit show, but then
yeah,
oh well, right? Basically, that's
yeah.
what it was. What you can the lesson to take from that is you can never really like you can criticize an author in a way, but you can't really attack them like that. That's just a little
Well,
too much.
I
Like
wouldn't even see. You're allowed to do what you want to do, but I feel like you're bad at what you do if you are inaccurate.
you resort to that too. Like you don't have a valid criticism enough, so you have to go there. Like come
Yeah.
on.
See, like
So
I've heard very much a lot of personal attacks towards Terry Goodkind, another very controversial author. Oh my god! Like I think it's sort of like you either love him or you hate him kind of thing, based on what I've read. And we'll talk about that later, maybe because he's just kind of a very unprofessional, egotistical person who believes his fantasy work is god tier. And I've read his first 3 books of his Sword of Truth series, which I think is his biggest series or maybe his only series. I don't really know, but that's like his biggest work. And like, I mean, they're not what he says there. They're not like god tier. He's not redefining the genre. They're also filled with plot holes and just sort of dumb things that just kind of make no sense. Like one time, for example, he just needed something to happen. He needed the main character to get somewhere in a short amount of time. So he literally just opened the console command of the book, right? And just typed in spawn one red dragon. And then the main character rode a dragon to where he go. And it's
Sounds
like,
very much like Titans season 1 or Game of Thrones season 8.
no, actually, yeah, like it actually does. Quite literally, he spawned in a dragon because they needed a dragon. He just does a lot of weird stuff. Like I read it when I was 13, and even as a 13-year-old, I was like, I like this because I knew nothing more about fantasy then. Now, only having done a reread, I'm like, wow, this is kind of bad. It's also heavily derivative off of everything else. He straight up stole concepts from Wheel of Time, from other fantasy works. He straight up has a character named Samuel, who's this depraved creature that has been depraved because of a magical MacGuffin, and he's like very greedy about it. Sounds like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. I, anyways, that's besides the point. Going back to the controversy stuff, that's how you make a bad opinion, not because what your opinion is about, but because you're making them off of inaccurate data. Now we're going to go for, if you've gotten the accurate data, what can we
I'll
say about
say
opinions
here's the thing with
afterwards?
that, okay? Before we get into it, for the people out there who don't know who the fuck Martin Scorsese is, um, Martin Scorsese is a brilliant director. He's directed Wolf of Wall Street. He did what else did he do? I mean, that's the big recent one at least. He did Taxi Driver. He did Goodfellas. The
Mm-hmm.
Departed was big. His recent movie, The Irishman, I think is out on Netflix soon, or it's already out. I don't remember. He did The King of Comedy, which is like I think one of the
Ooh,
big movies.
Goodfellas.
Yeah, I said Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas
Oh,
is
okay,
big.
I didn't
A
hear
lot
that
of
first one.
lot of De Niro stuff. He's a big De Niro junkie, and I think he is what made De Niro the legend that he is
Oh
now.
wait, he made Gangs of New York. I actually
He
DNF
did
that.
Hugo. Didn't you say you watched Hugo?
No, I don't think I watched that.
You don't watch Hugo? Someone told me they watched Hugo. So I don't know.
A
He
lot
made
of his movies
Hugo.
have Leonardo
He
DiCaprio.
also he also voiced one of the characters in Shark Tale, the
Hmm.
worst dreams movie of all time. He didn't even direct it or anything. He just voiced a character for some reason. I don't fucking know why. But he's a talent. He's a talent. He's a talentless hack. I'm kidding. He's cool. He's great. He earns the right to be one of the best cinematographers. No, s- directors. Okay, just directors in all
Wow,
of. It took me that long to say directors.
you got a stroke there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
during like he was talking about The Irishman, his recent talking about they were asking about Marvel movies, and he said it's not cinema, it's something else. We shouldn't be invaded by it. We need cinemas to step up and show films that are narrative films, right? First, this
Hmm.
came out, then everyone started fucking raging. Some people raged over him, some people raged on the ragers, then the ragers raged on the raging ragers, and all of the rages turned into a rage. So
Damn.
after this rage fest, he came out again on EW, Entertainment Weekly, and he said, let's say a family wants to go to an amusement park. That's a good thing, you know. And at theme parks, there are cinematic expressions. They're a new art form. There's something different from films that are shown normally in theaters. That's all. My concern is losing screens to massive theme park films, which I say again, they are their own new art form. Cinema is now changing. We have so many venues. There are so many ways to make films so enjoyable. Fine, go in. It's an event, and it's great to go to an event like an amusement park. But don't crowd Greta Gerwig and don't crowd Paul Thomas Anderson. Don't crowd out Greta Gerwig and don't crowd out Paul Thomas Anderson and Noah Baumbach and all those people in terms of theaters. So basically,
Yeah.
what he's saying is like there's huge bomb like fucking bombastic movies like Endgame and Infinity War and all the Marvel movies and a couple of the DC movies. Fuck you, DC. Um, that
Wow.
like that take up all of this box office revenue. And no one
Yeah.
goes to see Noah Baumbach movies, and he's a director that is very underrated and is sort of making a little bit of a spotlight. He directed like Mistress America. He did something recently that was big. I forgot. The Mayor wrote stories or something. He works with Emma Thompson a lot. But he did Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was the big thing in 2009. He did. Um, but he like these like sort of indie creators, these creators that come out with a movie through A24 Films, and it's fucking beautiful. And then like the Lighthouse, Robert Egert or something, the guy who directed the Lighthouse, like those type of people don't really get the box office revenue they deserve, because instead everyone goes and sees Captain Marvel. um and I mean, here's the thing, okay, although I do agree with his point,
Mhm.
I do agree with saying, okay? Keep in mind, people, this is a PR stunt. This is a pure PR stunt.
This is gonna
I know I know
Mithy,
I'm the
if we ever get big enough to have merchandise, which probably won't, but if we ever do, that's gonna be a quote. It's a
that's
PR
gonna be
deal.
my merch.
Guys,
This is a
this is a PR stunt. You've mentioned PR stunts like in almost every
everything is a fucking PR stunt, okay? Suck my ass. Uh, no,
this is a
this
PR.
is a fucking this is a PR move. He wanted listen, the
I'm gonna make
Irish
a meme. I'm gonna make a meme. It's gonna be movie producer comes out with a new movie. Mithy, this is a PR stunt.
no, this
No
fucking
one,
thing.
literally no one. Mithy, this is a PR stunt. Quality
uh,
meme.
yeah, that's actually a good
Scribe
meme.
makes a
Fuck.
meme. Scribe makes a meme about PR stunts. This is a PR stunt.
Oh, fucking.
Oh, jolly day. Go on.
So the Irishman was like set to be like released in theaters or something, and this is like a high budget movie
Mhm.
because like he Scorsese only works with fucking De Niro and like no one else, so they
Mhm.
just like de-aged De Niro. And it was like I think it was set to release in theaters, and I don't know the full story, but I know there was a big thing about him not being able to release that movie in theaters, because Netflix was just not able to like sell it to enough theaters and shit because
Also,
Netflix.
it's a really wrong movie. It's 3 hours
Yeah,
and 30 minutes.
yeah, I know. It's like how what
Oh my
theater is gonna
god.
book that much
It's
time
got
to?
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I've heard it's brilliant, but like not a lot of people are going to
Oh,
see
nine
it.
nine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: he's not making money off that movie. How do you make money? You talk about Marvel movies. So he comes out, he says this quick comment like, "Oh, it's not cinema," right? Right? Because the idea is it's not cinema. What is cinema? My new film, Irishman, now on Netflix. Go watch it, you fucks. Right?
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
That is exactly what he said. Don't quote me on that, but that is exactly what he said.
Uh, I
But
mean,
then
okay.
but then he comes back and then he clarifies everything to like make sure the controversy doesn't stick, right? So that's more people went to go watch The Irishman because of this. Thus, it is a PR stunt.
It
Okay,
hasn't come
this
out yet,
is a
though.
PR
It hasn't
stunt.
come out. It comes
I
out on
know, but
November
people
1st for the.
people will go watch this movie just because of this controversy.
I don't know about
Marvel,
that.
Marvel shows will go and see this movie just because of the controversy. I swear that that's what's gonna happen.
They'll be like, all right, let's see what this guy's talking about. Good cinema, my butt.
Yeah, no, not good cinema by butt. Good cinema my dick. They're all over 17, so.
I I don't even know what you would have said. I'm English. Okay, so
No,
I'm English.
yeah, no, fucking, yeah. This is a PR stunt. It's a joke, but at the same time, no, it's actually a fucking PR stunt. Spider-Man was a PR stunt. This is a PR stunt. Fuck. Am I turning into Shane Dawson? Like just fucking like the conspiracy
I feel
theory.
like there's another meme on the horizon. Um this is the PR stunt, but it's gonna be like this. Anything comes out on any date by anyone. This is a PR stunt.
Yep. No one, nobody, not a single fucking person in the universe. Me, PR stunt.
Yes, everything that anyone does is a PR stunt. If
But
I
yeah,
yes.
it,
Anyways,
he.
go
But talking about like aside from the PR elements of it, just talking about his peer criticism alone, right? Disregarding the context of The Irishman or anything like that. Um, Calling it not cinema, like blatantly saying that it's not cinema, that's false. These movies are still written by very talented writers, directed by mm, Peyton Reed, maybe not so much, but everyone else, very talented directors.
Wow.
Sue my ass, Marvel. I hate Ant-Man 2. Okay, it's my least favorite Marvel movie, and I went and saw it on like a very special date, and it was still my least favorite fucking Marvel movie. Um, so there's fucking like there's they're being written well. They're being produced by Feige, who is literally God. Um, they're Bob Iger is like over God. I mean, I don't worship Bob Iger. He just is a person of power. So they're still being managed by people who with talent, and they have brilliant actors, brilliant acting. They're still being like they're still cinema. They're still cinema. You cannot say they're
Well,
cinema.
what's the definition of cinema? Let's look.
Oh, don't look it up.
A
They're still cinema.
production, the production of movies is an art or industry. Yes, it's a cinema.
They're
Thank you.
cinema.
No, 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 that's it. That you don't need to say anything. Objectively, those movies are cinemas. There,
But
done.
as
Done.
far as
Argument
no, no,
over. Argument over. He
no.
is quite literally wrong by definition.
Yes, by definition, he's
That's all
wrong.
someone has to say. I'm sorry. What, no, that you don't have to say. There is no but. He is
There's a
wrong.
okay,
He
but
is wrong
seriously,
because he. Oh, fine. You want to get into the
I want to
nitty
get
gritty.
serious. No more
Okay,
PR
but no,
stuff.
actually
The
though,
real thing.
why do we need to get more serious? Why is anyone arguing about this? All someone needs to
Because
do
he makes a good
is
point.
what?
He
No, it
says
okay. Definitions is
is
the point.
changing. It's a new art form. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No,
You're breaking up again. What?
it is a new art form.
It's a new art form. That doesn't matter. Is it a okay? Is are Marvel movies a let me look up the I'm stupid. I can't type. Cinema
Marvel,
definition. Hey, you're breaking up crazy, dude. Hey, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You sound like this.
hello. What the fuck is the internet? Fucking sucks.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck me.
Go on.
Okay. As far as his points, though, just talking about his points, aside from everything with the fucking Irishman and everything like that, yet it's not. It is cinema because by definition, it's a production. What did he say? Say the definition.
The definition of cinema is well, I guess a production of movies as an art or industry. If Marvel movies fit that, which they do, he is wrong. Done. End of story. No one needs to be angry about anything.
Okay, but
There is no
as
argument to
far
be
as
had.
no,
He's
no,
just wrong.
no, that's not my argument. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what he said afterwards. Talking
Okay.
about it as talking about it as an amusement park, that wasn't the right comparison, but he makes a point in saying that it's a new art form and it's different and it's still very creative and it's still, but the thing is it's so massive, right? And I agree that there isn't a spotlight for like such small indie films like The Lighthouse and stuff.
Mhm.
But I think because of his discussion about this, and although like people have been like, why the fuck did he even have to say that? Like it's fucking it's stupid. Like everyone's gonna go watch Marvel movies, right? But just looking at the past year, there has been, because of something like Robert Pattinson being in Batman, everyone is going to go see
Yeah.
The Lighthouse. Because of something like Tom Holland being Spider-Man, everyone is going to see the Russo brothers Cherry movie. Like people are going to go see those indie movies and stuff. It seems like back in the day it was just like, okay, you got one acting gig role and it was like, oh shit, you're like an actor now, so you can actually go for roles. Now it seems that the zeitgeist seems to be shifting in a way that it's like, okay, it once you make something that's a blockbuster thing where it's like, okay, shit, you're gonna do all the fucking money that you want, then you can go and you can do those passion projects, because that's like the cherry on the top of the ice cream. First you have to bite through the cone, which is rough and sometimes a little stale.
Wait, you start with a cone? What?
Oh, I don't. Okay, I don't do that. Okay, I don't do that.
It's a terrible
I'm gonna have to
analogy.
defend myself for the rest of my life, saying I don't eat an ice cream cone upside down. Fuck.
I'm sorry. This is a terrible analogy either way.
No, but imagine you're a fucking lunatic and you're eating an ice cream cone upside down. Okay,
Okay.
first you have to get through the cone, which
Dude,
is a little.
just say it's a mountain. You're climbing a mountain, you go up the slope, and you reach the top, and you put the flag, and you realize it wasn't worth it because now you have to walk all the way down in a helicopter.
Okay, but keep with
That's
my
it.
shitty I keep with my shitty ice cream comparison for just a second.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
The stale cone, that's getting your name into the thing, going to those auditions, producing those small short films, all those things. It's a little stale. There's an element of sugar to it, but it's a cone, right? You got to get through it. Then you get to the ice cream, right? The ice cream is great, right? And it's like big, it's like super sugary, and the sugar represents essentially money in this case. Um,
Okay.
and it's so sugary and it's cold and creamy, right? But then you eat too much ice cream and it's just way too cold and your teeth are fucking frozen and you're tired of it, right? And then
Wait,
once you're done,
are you telling me you can get tired of money? False. False.
but you're not
False.
enjoying it. Okay, but you're not enjoying it as much. And then finally you get
Nope,
to
I am always enjoying money. I don't know what you're talking about.
the
Money
but
buys
then
happiness.
finally you get to the cherry, the creme de la crop. I don't even think that's a word.
I hate cherries. I always take it
And
off.
you
So
fuck
this is a
you.
bad analogy.
Fuck you. This is a
Also, this is
PR
a
stunt.
terrible analogy.
This is a PR stunt, okay? You eat the fucking cherry, and then that's
Look,
it. It's like, that was what I wanted the entire time. I just wanted to eat a cherry, but I had to go through all that shit. I think that's where the zeitgeist is
who
going.
freaking?
People,
Okay, okay. I want to critique this analogy because this is a
do. I know
terrible.
you really do. It's a terrible analogy, and I agree. It's a terrible analogy.
One, I hate cherries. Two, I love the cone and the ice cream. Three, I can never have too much money. Four, money is happiness. Prove me wrong.
I can't. No, you're right. You're right. But my point is that the zeitgeist is shifting in a way where love it or hate it. Oh God, love it or hate it. De Niro, Scorsese, okay, not James Cameron, fucking indie directors. Listen, the zeitgeist is shifting in a way that you have to produce something huge before you go and do whatever you want to do. It's always been like that, but now there's an emphasis on that with things like Marvel
I'm gonna
movies.
say something that's really really controversial. Actually, it's not that controversial. It's just like mad cause bad. In terms of money, I'm sure they're great pieces of art. Probably go see Irish, but mad cause bad because their bank account isn't as big as Marvel movies.
Yeah.
That's
I
it
mean,
comes down.
it comes to that core. But I
See,
mean,
money does buy happiness. I'm telling you, money does
it
buy
does.
happiness.
It does.
They're
But
only
for those directors who are out there like Robert Eagert and like
yes,
Paul Thomas Anderson and like even Wes Anderson to a degree,
yes,
like those directors who want to go out and make those passion projects
yeah.
to make their passion projects super successful, they have to do what Robert Pattinson did, sort of. Do their big budget thing called Twilight, which sucks ass, but it still made a bunch of fucking money, and then they have to disappear and then use that clout
And
that
they
they have
have
to
to
build up their craft.
disappear.
What?
It's a really long con project. That's
Yeah,
a really
no. If that's what I think the zeitgeist is shifting towards, and
uh,
I
uh,
feel like
I mean,
Scorsese just has to deal with that.
you
I'm
gave me
sorry, man.
one. You gave me. Okay, you know what? Okay, you're thinking too deep about this, my guy. All right, just because some guy said something about some movies that you like, it's not gonna change anything. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, but I feel like recently there has been an appreciation for things like The Lighthouse and things like even Jojo Rabbit, which is a Searchlight production. Like it's Taika Waititi, but it's like, see, the reason those things are are getting successful is because they came from a big budget and they did something
All
small.
right,
So
this
then
is
everyone is
okay.
following
Look,
them.
look, look. Assuming you have talent, because if you don't have talent, you well, actually, I can't really say that because Jake Paul exists. But anyways, assuming you have talent, which will make things a lot easier for you. You don't have to skip steps or jump the hoop. You just have talent. Here's what you do: you make it big by getting your name out there. Next, you do a superhero movie. Next, any other movie you do will instantly be popular just because you were in a superhero movie. Done.
That is what Taika Waititi did. That's how
But
he is
yeah,
able to make a fucking Nazi movie. And I think
yeah,
that's
a
it
Nazi
used to
movie.
be. Yeah, no, it used to be they make the indie movies and then they make the big budget movies. Now it's the opposite. And just directors are just going to have to deal with that. I'm sorry. That's all I'm saying.
See, look, as a consumer, I'm just gonna watch what I want to watch, and then
You're
that's
just going to
the
I
end of
mean,
it.
that's how it is, right? So
Oh, actually, wait. Actually, that's okay. That's another thing. That's I
love
want
or
to talk
hate on
about.
me spinning facts.
I want to talk about this actually. Um,
This has been going
so
on for a while, so we should probably get to some of our no, not final topics, but yeah. What do you want to talk about? Go ahead.
okay. Well, we've talked about books, we've talked about movies, but have you heard of the Bethesda doing the whole $100 a year subscription
Oh
fee?
yeah. This is a thing too. That's was like I was like, what? What's? I'm confused. Why
Yes.
is it $100 a month? And what?
Yes. See, okay, so I wanted to talk about the power that people have as being consumers, okay? Because here's the thing: not a lot of people know this, and the ones that do, I mean, they can utilize this. But as a consumer who buys products from a corporation, you have a certain power. It's called not spending your money. So, like, when people tell me that the corporations are ruling the world or whatever like that, I just say, don't buy, set up a boycott. You're allowed to do that within the rights of America, by the way. I mean, I feel like that's obvious with our accents, but this
That's
is
the
for
definition.
America.
We're
This is
from America. What?
this goes for America.
We
I
actually
cannot
are like
speak for
no,
other
we're actually
countries.
next door neighbors with Edward Snowden.
Yes. And no, what I'm saying is I can't speak this for other countries, for I do not know the political or the sort of corporate political kind of like hierarchy that they have going on there. So this is only for America because I am very sheltered when it comes to things, and I can admit that most people can't. Anyways, so in America, you as a consumer have power over corporations of setting up what's called a boycott. Believe it or not, it actually does work. You know why? Because there have been instances in the past where someone brought up the threat of a boycott and the corporation went, we're done. Sorry. It's called, let's see, Battlefront 2, though not really a official boycott. Their stocks went down because people stopped buying it. Guess what they did? They fixed Battlefront 2. They removed the loot boxes as well. They did all that. They're fixing the game because consumer loyalty is in the long run better for
For
a
game, it's
company.
key for games. Yeah. Can
I
I
mean,
say
no, not for
something?
games, just anything, dude. I mean
Can I
anything,
say something
right?
that's gonna? Can I say something that's gonna make you want to kill me?
Oh yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say something that's so controversial yet so brave. Not
Okay.
even brave. I'm gonna say something that like I don't agree with this. I don't think this should happen. Okay,
Okay.
but
Go. Tell
logistically it
me.
makes sense. Okay, and I'm
Okay.
giving the devil ideas. Okay, this is a bad thing I'm doing. I'm giving the devil ideas.
That's fine. He has already ideas.
Yeah, I know. Think of streaming, right? Streaming
Streaming.
is
Okay.
what happens when like you get a movie and you get to like keep watching the movie and then they have like a new movie and then that you keep watching the new movie and then you have to pay a month for like pay every month for that service, right? That's how
Oh, okay, like
streaming works,
Netflix.
right?
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Video games seem like the perfect thing to implement that thing into. So like imagine it's like okay, you
They do.
buy Batman Arkham and basically you have to pay like $20 for every month you have it.
Okay. Well, first of all, oh, you mean individual games, or
Like
you?
individual games.
Yeah, they already do. It's called World of Warcraft. It's called a subscription fee.
Yeah, well, World of Warcraft is like a
Also,
that's a
any
platform game.
MMO, basically any MMO that is paid, most of them are a
Or
subscription fee.
yeah.
I wouldn't say most of them. I can't say really that, but World of Warcraft being the biggest one, that's one.
But like
ESO
but
premium.
from a market perspective, it makes sense for them
No,
to
here's why it
do
doesn't, okay? Well, actually, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say here's why it doesn't. Here's why
Still
I
talking about the
assume they
Fallout
don't.
thing, the Bethesda Fallout thing.
Yeah. Okay.
How
See. Yeah.
that doesn't make
Based
sense.
on that, based on that, that game is just bad. First of all, that's why
Yeah,
that's really ridiculous.
yeah,
Second of all, uh, even World of Warcraft, by the way, World of Warcraft, WoW Classic and the current one, I think they have the same. They are a $15 per month investment, and you can get lower versions for like a longer term. You'll be paying less, but in terms of if you're going monthly, it's $15 per month, and if you do 15 times three, that is 180 for essentially one of the most played games, I would say. Like WoW Classic is still huge, and that game is 2004. They just remastered it basically, right? And people are playing $180 a month, essentially, or less than that if they're using the full on I'm going to play this for a year kind of thing. And you're getting essentially um for one, if assuming you only play one character, that is roughly 300 to 400 hours of content for that one character. And there's, I think, 7 or 8 different classes, and also like 6 different races for each. At least 6. There might be more. I'm not sure. I haven't played that game. I've only seen my roommate play it a lot. But point is, there's a lot of mix and matching. There's also 2 sides that have exclusive races, and some of them even have exclusive classes, such as Paladin being only for one side. So what I'm saying is, you're paying $180 per year, assuming you play yearly and pay monthly, uh, for roughly at least 400 hours of content, assuming you finish one character. Whereas Fallout 76, I technically that game is like a survival game, so you can kind of play it forever, but the game doesn't work. So yeah, and I'm sure they've made fixes. But then there was that whole scandal with the people getting into the cheat room, making multitudes of the resources, screwing the economy of the game. And in general, it just has a lot of riffraff and
yeah. It was just a
contra.
lacking game. Yeah,
Yeah, and now they pull off this. On top of that, there's already microtransactions in the game that give you kind of useless stuff. Also, like in general, that game is just. I mean, even as a concept, if the game worked perfectly, at least in my opinion, I would not like to play that game purely because I play Fallout for very different reasons than what that game is there for, right? I that's the same reason I don't play games like Rust or any of those kind of survival multiplayer games. It's just it's a it's not usually not a very good community, and no harm to the community. It's just the nature of the game. People will be jerks on that game because there's no penalty. And I mean, yeah, you do you, man. But the point is, it's not fun.
yep.
So
And
that's more of the outrage.
if it's not fun, then what's the point? To quote Reggie.
Yeah.
Anyway, next topic.
Yes.
Ooh, this is this. Okay, this is not really a heaty one. Okay, wait. Pause here. Pause here. Fuck. I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick. Fuck me. Give me like
Okay.
just a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Do like while I'm gone. Do like a fake ad read.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So, Mithy has gone to the bathroom for his bladder week, and also his timing is impeccably faulty. The point is, I'm going to be doing my own The Wonders of Tolkien. Ha ha ha. I'm joking, we're not. I would, but we're not. Point is, I'm just here to waste time. Maybe Mithy will edit this out. Probably won't. Probably will. Who knows? There's a chances for everything. I would like to explain my opinion on opinions. Opinions on opinions are very opinionated, and they are very biased and nitpicky. Point is, if you have an opinion, that's okay. Why are we talking about opinions? Why do we care? If you like something, you go watch it, read it, play it, whatever. If some guy like Scorsese says, "Hey, Marvel sucks and it's the worst thing that ever happened," does that change your love for that movie? No, it doesn't. So who the heck cares? So go on your merry way. And Scorsese is anyways wrong because by definition, that's not what cinema means. But in the subjective sense, if you want to keep arguing, why? Just keep watching your movies. If you don't like them, don't watch them. If you like them, watch them. If you hate them, don't pay for them. Set up a boycott. It's America. You can do anything you want, except illegal stuff. I do not condone that. But as an American citizen, you can, in fact, set up a boycott. You can screw over corporations in such a way. There is freedom of speech. Ah, God bless America. Not to mention capitalism. Mwah. You have power, my friends. People say power to the people, but you do, for you are a consumer and you cannot pay. I mean, you can choose to not pay. It's not that you can't pay. That sounded wrong. Anyways, God bless America. God bless capitalism. God bless freedom. Give me freedom or give me death. This was brought to you by the Right Wing Party. Ba 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 ba.
I
Call
just
wait.
came back. I Okay. Say the 1-800.
No, I'm not
Actually,
going to.
don't. Okay.
I want you to when you're editing.
Listen, all I heard was this is brought to you by the right wing party, so I can't wait to listen to this in post.
I really want you to put this in at the end as like after credit thing. Oh my god!
Fuck.
I'm sorry. That was a I
I heard
put on
was
my.
I was like, this thing is brought to you by the right wing party, and I was like, oh fuck. uh,
Oh man, I
okay.
love I love I love this. Anyways, go
Goddamn.
on.
Okay. Okay. This is not really that controversial of a topic. PewDiePie, new video. He never really makes Marvel videos, but he made one, and it's supposedly it's his like most controversial video, which is funny because the bridge and the fucking the Nazi Jewish kids or something. The no the Indian
The
kids.
Nazi Jew.
The
What
Nazi
are you
Jewish kid.
saying?
It's
Mithy,
a
are you sure
PR
you didn't
stunt,
like?
okay? It's a PR
This is a
stunt.
PR stunt. Yeah,
Um no,
this
so
entire podcast is a PR stunt.
yep. No, so like fucking it's not it's cool, right? I don't like that people hate on Pewds for not liking the MCU. Like a lot of his fans love the MCU, right? So when that video came out, it was like, "Oh fuck, you don't like the MCU?" Ugh. But it's like I like the MCU, right? When I watched the video, I was like, "Hey, I like the MCU." And he doesn't. Oh. But like no,
And then
it's fun.
and then you proceeded to type a 40 paragraph long analysis on PewDiePie is nitpicking and biased. I win, bye bye.
Yep.
That's what you
We're
did.
gonna our next video essay. Speaking of, this is random, but god damn it, I have like 5 video essay scripts and I haven't finished any of them, and I equally want to do all of them. And I was actually gonna finish one and post it by Halloween, and I haven't even finished the script. So
Mhm.
fuck me and classes and work. So yep. Uh, but no, back to Pewds. He talked about why he doesn't like Marvel movies and stuff, and he referred back to that video. But one thing that I want this is not really even like about the topic as much. It's just it's interesting because he's such a like he's a content creator. He's based purely off of comedy and like reacting to cringe and stuff like that. But he like gave a very like well thought out, in depth like sort of analysis of Thanos during like Endgame, and I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, I don't need to recommend anyone to watch the video because who the fuck cares? But
Yeah, Thanos is a bad
about
villain.
yeah, no, you think Thanos is a bad villain, and I can
No,
see why you think that. But
I just think
I can,
he's
yeah,
I think he's I it's weird. He's in a position where his
overrated. I think he's
philosophies.
overrated. I think he's
No,
overrated.
no,
People give
no.
him too much praise.
His philosophy is pretty interesting because I mean, actually, for almost every reason that PewDiePie said, even though I don't watch PewDiePie as much, I just watched that because you told me to watch it. But like it was interesting. I might watch his philosophy videos because I feel like that's more
He's a
interesting.
good like I can tell he sort of has a passion for that because like
Yeah,
he does a very good job talking about like that, and it does relate to Thanos, right? Because it's like the first step of it is
yeah.
him
But
like
the
going like this is
premise
my
is
mission.
so stupid. I'm sorry. Half the universe is so dumb. That is such a
Yes,
dumb
yeah,
premise.
it's a I agree. They give him too much credit for that, right? But it is a good analysis of
Okay,
his character, and
but
I wouldn't be
well,
surprised if the
actually,
Russo brothers knew that. So
wait. Just listen, okay? I'm gonna
you're gonna Suck
I'm
some
not gonna
Martin Scorsese dick right now.
what? No. Okay, so listen. So Thanos has this beautiful ideology is makes this amazing sort of sort of you know villain that thinks he's a hero. It's beautiful, it's artistic. You can do so much with that. But then you realize his premise and you're like, why do you even think people want this? Like I he's just stupid. He's incompetent when it comes to just logical rationale. And see, you can say you see. I know a lot of critique will be that that's the point of his character. He's blinded by his own self of justice. I'm just saying, in general, I feel like the guy can't take a hint. All right, like, see, the thing is, when you have plots, when you have characters like who are that the archetype that PewDiePie listed. I forgot how to pronounce it, but point is that archetype of the the Knight of a Thousand Resignation or
Yeah,
Infinite
yeah, yeah,
Resignations.
yeah.
That kind of archetype is done so well in other things. I'm trying to think. I mean, Berserk, I guess, is one example. Uh, uh, I won't say who because technically it's a spoiler, but there's a character in Berserk who is literally that in a nutshell. Let's see other things that are like for the greater good and stuff like that. I mean, literally any like um, warlord kind of character like Thanos, but not having the stupid thing of wiping out half. Like technically, Anakin is that because from his point of view, the Jedi are evil. Remember that?
Oh,
That's
what a
him. Yeah, he's technically that. Okay, he believes what he's doing. Right, he believes that at least in the third movie, he kind of goes full Dark Lord in the original because that was his purpose. But at least in the third movie, he straight up thinks killing all those
younglings.
separatist people, not the clones, the separatist
The
people is
younglings,
good.
all the younglings,
Yeah,
just all the
all the
younglings.
younglings. Remember, his perspective is that what he's doing is completely okay, and he's killing children. All right, that is his point of view. All right, that is a Knight of a thousand thousand resign. I keep saying thousand. I mean infinite resignations. He has and remember, his end goal is actually straight up to be with Padme in a galaxy that is free of corruption and evil. That is his end goal. That is his one goal that he decides to try to kill his mentor for. That he decides to kill younglings for. All the Jedi's, all the people that are against him, anyone that comes in his way is just cast aside with the sweep of his lightsaber or the push of his force. The point is, that right there is how you do it. But his premise, although stupid, you can still see where he's coming from. Thanos is just straight up icing half the universe. And I'm sitting here like, because it just does it, something there doesn't click, and that's more of a
I
subjective
think
opinion.
also it has to do like in my thing. It's like when you're comparing Anakin in fucking Thanos, you have to
Yeah.
note that Anakin is a very emotional character. So when he acts like that, it's like, oh fuck, he feels that, right? Like that's
Yeah.
you can see that in Hayden Christensen's performance. And Thanos, as the CGI is great, and he fucking like he sheds a tear when his daughter dies and shit, I guess. But like,
Oh
other than
no, I
he,
killed my dog because
I'm going to
like okay,
shed
that was
one single tear. It's like I
no,
feel
I'm
like
sorry.
that's
That
why
was
people
it came off as ingenuine. Like I love Infinity Wars. I love that movie probably more than Endgame. I
I'll say,
just
honestly, this people
I
say
love
Thanos is
Endgame.
the best part about that movie. I thought Thanos was the weakest part of that movie.
I
I
wouldn't say
mean,
that. The point is I
actually,
think
fuck,
Thanos
no, he's
is
not the weakest part. He's just one of the parts that whenever I rewatch that movie, I like, and I'm like bored out of my mind or something, and I decide I'm gonna rewatch Infinity War, and I'm like, oh fuck, fine, I'm bored. I don't want to watch all of this shit. The Gamora Thanos scenes are some of the scenes that I skip.
I mean, see, it just comes off as ingenuine. Okay, compare Gamora. Actually, yeah, compare Gamora Thanos scene to I'm trying to think of another sacrifice-esque scene like that. See, I need a list. I can never think of
Oh
things,
yeah.
but like I'll just take Anakin Skywalker in Obi-Wan fight, even though technically Anakin fight. I mean, not technically, he does lose in that fight. But what I mean is, like, let's just say, for example, that Anakin maybe won that fight, right? It's like kind of the same thing in the sense that, he's killing his brother figure, mentor figure, brother figure kind of thing for the sake of the greater good or in his mind, right? Now compare that kind of and maybe it's I'm biased because there's 3 movies of his growth and also the entire original trilogy which he's going to be. So maybe that there's that emotional weight, right? But Thanos killing Gamora, it just felt like even okay, so when I was there, when I was in the theater watching and he started crying and then Gamora was started snarking at him like, "Oh, you don't love anything, that's why you're crying." I believed her. And then when they said that he loves you, I'm like, "Okay, really? They're doing that?
Yeah, yeah, it was like, oh, come
That
on.
seems ingenuine. I'm sorry." And also, like, just in general, the inconsistencies, because they go off and say that he killed my parents and he took me and trained me, and blah blah blah, and all the other daughters and stuff like that. But also, like, one, why is he training these girls to do anything? Is that like integral to his plan? Number two, it's obviously within the realm of Gamora and Nebula. We've known that he liked Gamora the most, right? But like, okay, so
So then what was
the
even the need for
emotion,
Nebula too that at that point?
well, yeah, that also, but like maybe another foot soldier. But the point is, the vibes that I get from their scenes together isn't in the throne room when right before that, sacrifice scene, or not right before, but she's captured by him and she's arguing with him. It came off as angsty, blah blah blah. That's fine. That fits because she has daddy issues. That's perfectly fine. That's not what I'm calling that. But then you look at her in like all the other scenes where she's like the stoic person. I never got off. It seemed inconsistent to me that she is talking to her father like that and as a child she literally saw him kill. So like it just doesn't add up as like a story, because was she stoic all the time and hiding her and only showing them now, which is what I assumed. But then at the same time stoic, but she would had to have been sad that her family died and this guy
Mhm.
killed them. Or did that whole talk about balances all things should be actually make her look up to
So
this guy?
naive that she didn't even know that
Yeah,
he
but
was
then
killing people.
but then that leads to the argument that did she go from being actually that naive to realizing he's awful to then holding it in and then
It's not
until
clear at all because that movie has to do so much shit that stuff just
yeah.
goes by in a whim, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
but the point
oh,
is, see, I can honestly, I thought all of this after watching the movie, like after a few weeks, and so like that was one of the things I thought about. But I was like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's fine. Gamora's still a cool character. Thanos is fine, whatever. But then it brings up to the point where he's like, "Oh, I love you as a daughter." I'm like, "Okay, look here, pal. Okay, sorry. I'm sure people abuse and stuff like that. That's fine. First of all, that's really freaking abusive. Second of all, um, it's very ingenuine. It doesn't feel earned. It would have felt earned if we actually saw a scene with them together, and we did one. But again, when you saw that scene, you're just filled with questions. You're like,
you don't understand because
why?
that movie is doing so much at once that it's like,
Yeah,
what? Okay, fine, yeah, we're gonna keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. But that's really all I have to say. I mean, I feel like
Thanos is a
Thanos.
shit character and deserves to die, and that's what happened. Spoilers.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
well, anyway, the final thing, the biggest goof of them all. This isn't a I feel like we came in with this big topic of like, oh, we're gonna talk about how people criticize things, and now it's
And then we
just
ended
like
up criticizing, and then we ended up
literally
criticizing.
fucking everything. Yeah, everything
Anyways, go
is a
on.
fucking PR stunt. Um, Guardians. Why did I say Guardians? What the fuck? Game of
What? Wait.
Thrones.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Good old. I'll release a video today about this. I have a good gaff plan that's gonna be pretty funny. Um, Game of Thrones writer, not creator, writers David Benioff and DB Wise, also known as
2D. 2D. Do not dare call
D
them.
and
No. Do not disgrace that whole game's name by. Oh, the entire internet's been doing it.
Indy got fired.
It's a PR stunt.
It's a PR stunt.
It
I mean, is it?
actually is.
Is it?
It actually kind of is.
Is it a PR? See,
Well,
here's the thing. Everyone online, right, is going crazy, okay? Everyone is going crazy. Some people are ecstatic, okay? Even like I
crazy
remember
about.
telling you about this last night and you were like, "Oh, that's great." But you weren't like ecstatic about it. But like people on the internet are like, "Oh shit, that rocks because I hate these two people because they ruined my favorite show," right? Um
Yeah.
so they talked about how they quit because they, like they quit the projects of Star Wars because they were too busy with their Netflix project, right? Which sounds like BS because it's like Star Wars or a random Netflix project. Star Wars, right? I feel like that's a
Uh, yeah.
I mean, they were so passionate about it, and that was the thing is like they had to leave for Star Wars, so they didn't want to focus on this one or something like that. Which I feel like is sort of bullshit. I think they were just lazy. Um, but
Well, my reasoning is that they realized that they were really good at adapting things, but they weren't really good at making new things.
yeah, I just think they sort of just gave up. They're like, we can do this and this and this and this, and they just overthought, and they're like, oh fuck it, let's just do something. And then what happened was not good. I think that's what happened. But still, if if it's the case, okay, these guys they created fucking like what's your what in your mind is like the last good season, season 5?
I would season 4 or 5. After that, I'm not saying they're not good, but I'm saying after season 4, you see a steady decline. They start making decisions
But
that are
just at
kind of
least saying
weird.
season 5, okay? Season 5 was like the last good season, okay?
No, season 6 was like good, but again, not as good as the last one. And season
Okay,
7
but
is just
still, these
tanked.
guys, of the time that they spent doing the show, more than a half, like at least like 60% of the show, probably slightly more, like around 75% of the show was still good, right? It was still good. Um,
Well, okay. I mean, we could go into that. I personally think
we don't need to go into that, but like regardless, they made good content, right? They other than season 8 and season 7 and some of season 6 maybe or whatever, they made good content, right? They adapted stuff and they made good content, right?
I'm gonna say
You're saying
season
that
one,
they didn't.
season 1 through 4, quite literally perfect. Season 5 is really good. Season 6, they start to get lazy. You start seeing the signs, but people are blinded, myself included, by the fanfare of Game of Thrones. Season 7, you're like, okay, what the heck is going on? Why is this happening? Season 8, you commit suicide. So that's
I
my.
see, here's my question, right? As an outsider to this for the most part, right? I don't have any big agenda against D&D or something like that. I'm just like
2D. Cannot call them DD. No, I'm joking.
and I don't have an agenda against David Benioff and DB Wise. Is that better?
Oh, that's
Is
even
that
worse. No, I'm joking. Okay,
um
sorry.
is I don't have an agenda
Sorry.
against them or anything. I'm not like even like you where I'm like, oh, this show sucks or something. I'm just like, okay, I understand that it's pretty stupid. So, wow.
Yeah.
So, I do you think like outside of everything, do they deserve the hate that they're getting? And do they deserve to be fired from Star Wars because like if it was the case that Kathleen Kennedy fired them because of what happened with Game of Thrones,
Do
do
you
you
want me to
think
answer? Yeah, go on. Go on. Ask the question.
do you think they deserve to be fired and shamed on the internet the way that they are?
Do you want me to answer
Yeah,
a?
but also answer my second question, which is do you think they deserve a second chance at something, and if so, what would that be?
Okay, but the first question of do they deserve the hate and should they be fired?
Yes.
If I was a person that owned the rights, basically, if I was the person that is losing from gaining and or losing money from Star Wars, as in like whatever Star Wars
Kennedy.
game.
You're Kathleen Kennedy. Yes.
Yes, right? Then I would see the fact that these people have a negative reception, and purely that them making them, regardless of if it's good or not, will yield worse results than if someone more popular or just someone no name, like that's honestly better in this case because of the negative publicity that they're getting. I would fire them. I would get someone new, someone maybe with a better reputation. Someone say like I don't know many directors at the top of I don't even know. Whatever. What if they just get Peter Jackson? I don't know. So point is someone, right? That is a better reception, and then that would be it. And I would
And I
never want
think,
to.
I think regardless if they had 2D or not, I think that like if they kept them, it would be like bad press, and people would go see the movie to go shit on the movie, but everyone would go see the movie. And if it wasn't them,
Right, but
then
as I
everyone
said,
would be
as
like,
I said,
yes, yes,
as
Queen,
I said,
Kathleen Kennedy, Queen,
like
for
right,
firing them. So
but remember, as if I was her, then I would want to maintain consumer loyalty. So I would not want
then
my
you would
movie.
fire them. Yeah.
Yes. So, but remember, as an executive person with no artistic back, well, I mean, I don't know. Does she have artistic? I'm just going to assume she's just a person that's
Assuming
making
she's just a
stuff.
Kevin Feige of some kind who's just
Okay. Well,
producing
if
shit.
she's like, if she's like Kevin Feige, which I'm not saying she isn't, or literally nothing.
It's comparable in a way.
Okay, then that's great. If she loves Star Wars, then I think the best thing would be to not have any negative reception on Star Wars. Because if she loves Star Wars, which I mean, you're telling me she does, so she loves Star Wars. She wants Star Wars to be viewed under a very positive light, and of course, obviously, wants the money for it. But the point is, yeah, then that's an absolutely yes, fire Dean. Or yeah, frick, you have me saying that now. Gosh dang. All right.
I got you.
The point is, that's what I would say. Now, as a fan, actually, as a person that loves Game of Thrones and has spent, as I told you, invested 6 years of his life in this world, obsessing over this world, critiquing this world, I just doing anything you can within this world, watching YouTubers like Alt Shift X and the Last Harpy and stuff like that, immersing myself in this world and having a conclusion that feels like and then of course there's the books which will never come out at this point. I've lost hope. Freaking Bannerlord is coming up before the books, okay? And Bannerlord has been in like the making for like eternities. All right. Anyways, the point is, you get my point, okay? As a person that has invested so much time and having a very lackluster and just insulting and conclusion, I'm not really directing my hate to anyone because yeah, I could direct my hate to 2D, or I could just sit there depressed, realize that I wasted 6 years of my life investing myself, and
Yeah.
go to the things that never have let me down. Ring everyone. How could I have forgotten? I mean, I've never forgotten, but like my point being that Lord of the Rings, I basically it's kind of paradoxical. Seeing something so bad as season 8 and feeling that disappointment and just inherent sadness that you've wasted your time and these characters that you love and hate even are just butchered. You start to really recognize the things that have never done that to you, like Lord of the Rings, like you know, uh, I guess technically Percy Jackson, the first 10. So yeah,
Oh,
sure.
Blood of Olympus was shit. I'm sorry, Ryan. I love you, but I didn't like that.
Uncle Rick, Uncle Rick did us wrong. Anyway, no, I'm joking. I enjoyed it, but the point is, Lord of the Rings mainly. Star Wars, people hate Last Jedi and stuff. Like I'm just gonna tell you, I like most of Star. If it's Star Wars, I just
MCU in general, sort of, I guess, because no movie has
oh wait,
been
yeah,
like,
wait,
oh fuck,
why did
this is
I
horrible.
I feel so dumb. I completely forgot about MCU. I was like trying to space of like what do I like, and I like completely disregarded the fact of
Marvel movies, what are those?
yeah, yeah. Marvel is another thing I would say. Marvel, all these things that have Lord of the Rings specifically has quite literally never let me down. I don't think I've ever seen
Hobbit.
what's that? No, I'm joking. Okay, see, like even the
We'll see
Hobbit
what
movie.
happens when the Amazon television series comes out. Then we'll see what you say.
Yeah, but see, even the Hobbit movies, despite being bad, I never felt like it ruined the series book, and I always had the other movies, the other three, and also those books. I never like when someone asks me, "Oh, you like everything in the Lord of the Rings, or the Tolkien's universe? What about the Hobbit? Those suck, right?" I'm like, "Yes, they do, but guess what? When I don't care about. I just don't watch them. That's it. I just don't. They're not even canon. They're like actually straight up contradictory things. So I don't watch them. But as for the TV show, see if it's good, then I will consider it a thing that I would watch. But if it's bad, then I just don't care because I already have the finished work of Tolkien, which is of course Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and the Silmarillion. So I lose nothing if the Amazon TV show tanks, but I have so much to gain, right? It's just more Middle Earth content, and if it's good, then all the better. I'm not a book elitist, although book is better. I'm not saying the movies are just bad. I'm not saying the shows are bad. I think Lord of the Rings, the three movies, are some of the best cinema that has ever. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. It is so great. It is its own pros and cons compared to the books, but and it's just so amazing. So, but Lord of the Rings, considering or not Lord, sorry, Game of Thrones, considering that show was its definitive ending as of now, because Martin doesn't know how to write. I'm joking. But the point is, because of that, and because of the fact that after a while I had invested myself show more books, that's why I was like, well, that sucks. That's disappointing. Uh, the books we cannot know; they have not finished yet.
We'll
Simple as
find
that.
out. We will find out, and then you will be like, "Fuck! They ruined the books too. Fuck!" And
I
then
mean,
you'll
I'm gonna be
actually
honest
just
with you.
cry.
I I think much like how I said I've given up with DC and caring, same with Assassin's. That how I don't really care about Assassin's Creed anymore. It's just because as a consumer, as I have the power to buy, and as a consumer, if you're kind of trust in the product that you're placing your money in has disappointed you time and time and again.
At
In the
that
case of
point,
Game of, at that point,
not
it's
worth
like it's not what
it.
like, and season 8 was that time and time and basically the
Yeah.
entirety of season 7 for
It
that matter
it was a
was
spiral, yeah, it was a
yeah, and
spiral.
I honestly don't care about Game of Thrones anymore. Like even if the books finish, I don't like go read them, and that's nothing against Martin. Of course, that's more of just it's left a bad taste in my mouth, much like how DC has. I will go watch Batman because, as I said, Batman is the only thing that's good in DC. And also, of course, I will also say that same thing with Assassin's Creed games. After time and time again, in fact, the only reason I ever played Assassin's Creed 3 as my first game and liked it was because that was my first AAA game that wasn't like Mario or something, right? Soon after it came Skyrim, and I was like, wow, okay, Assassin's Creed actually sucks. Never mind. And then I kept playing some games afterwards to see if it got better because everyone was freaking talking about how Syndicate was great, Black Flag was great, all this. And I'm like, you guys, I don't like it, so I'm not going to play it.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
mean, to be fair, I think the thing is with all of these things, I know you showed me a video yesterday, a Jenny Nicholson video about her talking about Strange and her worries for like Infinity War and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
this was yeah.
yeah, and talking about like how like all
Okay,
these
well,
characters are sort of the
okay,
same.
Jenny Nicholson is that her content's not made to spark
No, no,
a it's
I know, but like we talked last night, I think the thing with like anything honestly is that there's so much stuff beforehand that it's like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen. This is gonna happen. That could happen. And like, I'll be full frontal. I'm scared that the Batman movie is gonna suck, and I'm scared that that's gonna happen
but you
because
know why I'm
although
not scared? You know why I'm not scared? Because the Nolan movie, and also yeah, that's literally it.
but I'm still based off what I've heard and based off what I'm imagining the movie to be. I'm like, okay, it could be great, but also it could suck. Like at the same time,
Yeah, but
and
what do you
I'm
mean?
very
What do you
like,
okay? But let me ask you this: considering the Matt Reeves Batman is a completely separate entity and not linked to anything else that we know of, Matt Reeves' Batman sucking and tanking will not affect the things that we all love and
no,
Batman
yeah, but
Begins.
that's not my point. My point is that regardless, like you can't fully judge the thing until it comes out. Like Jenny Nicholson could say, the thing, Infinity War could suck because all these characters are basically the same, and having them interact could. It's maybe it won't be as strong as it could be, and then the movie comes out, and honestly, it's one of like top 5 Marvel of all time. And maybe I think she had a very positive review of the movie. I mean, she made fun of it, but I think she liked the movie. I don't remember. Did she like the movie? You know more about her content than I do.
Yeah, I mean, she made again. See, her videos are. It's hard to explain. She has this deadpan humor that's like she's like a civilized,
Okay,
basically.
but did she enjoy the movie? Did she
Yeah,
enjoy
she
the
enjoys all these movies. That's why she.
Yeah. And the
Then it
critical
just
reception was really good. And honestly, some people think that it's better than Endgame to a degree, right?
yeah.
Including myself.
It's just
But
yeah.
uh the thing is that you can't judge really anything fully until the thing comes out. You don't judge a book by its cover, but the cover being past tense
Yeah,
and the book being future tense.
you sometimes do but judge a book by
Sometimes
it.
you can judge it. You can judge it, but you cannot come with a definitive conclusion.
Yeah, I'm not okay. When I say judge a book by its cover, I guess I should not say
Like, if the
that. It's
marketing
more of
for a movie sucks, then you're not gonna go see the movie. But the movie could still be good,
yeah, but the cover
but you can't definitively say this
the
movie is
cover in
bad.
a book or really the cover in anything, to be honest, is
The
the
same thing with yeah, and the same thing with Game of Thrones season 8. It was like before I remember so much hype. I was like, oh, people are gonna go skip Endgame to go see that one episode of Game of Thrones because that's how much they care
good
about it.
good thing they if they did, I'm so sorry.
I know.
I
So like there's always gonna be hype for everything, and even though some people are like, oh, it was overhyped and everything, I still think it's well deserved hype, no matter what.
which what is Endgame?
Anything, even like Game of Thrones.
Well, you
It's
know what
like
I do? You know what I say when people talk about, "Oh, you guys are fanboys. Oh, why are you getting so hyped?" I'm like, "'Cause I like to like
you want
things."
to.
I have yeah, no,
It's
in
the
my
one
my
Twitter guy, the cargo pants dude, who like really loves watching these Star Wars trailers and he gets really excited over them. And then
yeah,
the fucking conservative bitch, and I'm gonna call her a bitch because she is a bitch, was like,
who?
oh my god,
Wait,
I
who?
wouldn't like when the Last Jedi trailer came out, he was like so happy and he was like tearing up watching that. And then some conservative bitch on Twitter was like, "Oh, but I never date guys who like these fucking nerd bitch movies with the fucking cargo pants. These are
Wait, cargo?
serotonin
Sorry.
deficient bitches."
Okay. Yeah, but the point is, my reaction of this is on
You
just
are
people
that
scroll
kid,
past.
Aryan. No one dates you because you wear cargo shirts and you have estrogen in your
Okay,
veins.
but anyways,
Correct.
if I was to be okay, this is the last thing we're gonna talk about. You can add on to what I'm about to say, and then I think that should be for this podcast. That this has been
Long.
very long.
You're
Anyways,
too long.
my last thing is that if I met someone like that person, anyone that's like, oh, too hyped, blah blah blah. If I met him on the internet, I would just scroll past because I don't. If I met him on the well, actually, I might respond in a very if I'm feeling snarky that day, then I might respond in a very like happy way, like I love this thing, and then like, see how much hate I get because I find
Yeah.
the internet.
Because
I'm not really. I'm
it
not.
is a PR stunt. It is a PR stunt. It's
Yeah.
like
Well,
I'm gonna
I
hate,
won't
and then
insult
people
them.
respond.
I won't insult them, but I'll be like, if that person, let's say, responded to me, I'd be like, oh, you wouldn't date me? That's unfortunate. Oh well, and just that's it. I just because it's a meme.
That
Anyways,
I'm already in a relationship with my Xbox.
no, yeah, yeah. Actually, that's probably, and you know what? Probably. Anyways, and then if there was in real life, which is significantly less likely because it's real life and you're not held, you actually are held accountable for being someone like that. I would just kind of be like, yeah, I happen to like, why I'm so hyped? Because I like liking, I like to be happy. There's a thing in life called happiness. Maybe you should try it. If you don't, that's fine. You do you. I like to be happy. Mithy, do you
I
like
would
to be happy? Do you like to be
happy.
happy? Oh,
We're
okay. I mean, if you're a self-loathing masochist, that's. But what I'm saying is, I
no,
personally like to be happy. I like
no,
being
no, no,
happy, so
no,
that's why I
no.
get hyped.
I don't like to be happy, and this is what this is what I sort of want to wrap it up on. I don't like to be
Okay,
happy. Do you know why?
why?
'Cause happiness is a PR stunt.